Hey everyone, my name is David Rao and I'm the music teacher who blogs at makemomentsmatter.org. You can also find my ideas on Facebook, on Instagram, Pinterest, Twitter, and YouTube, or a variety of other places when you search for my name, David Rao, or Make Moments Matter. I'm really excited to be sharing today about ideas, lessons, books, bulletin boards, things that you can use in December and beyond. Lots of Christmas stuff, lots of Las Posadas and Hanukkah, some other things that you might think about using in the next month. Because for many of us, this is a glorious week. Maybe you have the week off. I was in a school that did that last year. Oh my gosh, it was fantastic. Maybe tomorrow is your last day, like me, or maybe it's Wednesday, I don't know. Or maybe you're from Australia or Canada and you're like, we don't get this. We don't get American Thanksgiving off, so sorry. I don't know, but it's a glorious week for so many of us because we're getting ready. I plan to spend Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday baking and eating baked goods. I'm not going to go and see my family this year, but I can still bake mounds of party mix to share with neighbors and stuff. So anyway, I'm so excited. It's a great week. It's a short week. But I know that after that week, we just zoom right into December, and there are so many fun lessons and ideas. And as always, when I have books or resources and stuff, a lot of that stuff, it's nice to know a little bit ahead of time. So that's why I wanted to spend today, the last musical Mondays of the semester, talking about some of those books and bulletin boards and things, so that if you wanted, you can plan ahead and start getting those things now, or ordering books from your library, or going and looking on used book websites on the Thanksgiving holiday or whatever. Printing out, laminating, all of that now so that you have it for when December truly rumbles in. I still feel like even though many of us are not going to have like holiday concerts and stuff, it's still going to be crazy for some reason. I just have a feeling that might be true. So anyway, that's what I'm going to be doing today, is talking about all of those December and Christmas things and Hanukkah things and Las Posadas things. And that'll be coming up in just a second. So a couple quick things. If I say, oh, it's on the links page, the links page, there's a page dedicated on my blog to all the things I talk about on these Musical Mondays videos. You can find it either going by directly to my blog, makemomentsmatter.org, and clicking on the videos tab, or if you're watching on Facebook, it's at the direct link at the bottom of this video caption, and Instagram, it's on my link in a profile. Some people really liked the all Halloween resources bundle and all Thanksgiving resources bundle I did on Teachers Pay Teachers. So I did an all Christmas bundle of all the Christmas stuff I have and will be making. So if you're interested in that, I put a link on the links page. Just so if you want to get just everything, bulletin boards, interactive games, centers, all of it, you can. But I know that some people really liked that, so I made another one of those for all my Christmas stuff. Speaking of Christmas stuff, one last thing. I made some new interactive games for Christmas, and I know some people can't do Christmas. Like, you're like, if it says Santa, I can't do it, or whatever. So I'm also, for December, as I make the Christmas things, I'm also making a version of all those interactive games just with like a snow day theme, or like a winter theme, or whatever, because I know some people can't use anything that's holiday themed. So it's just sort of like winter themed or hot cocoa or whatever. So if you're one of those schools where you're like, I'd love to have an interactive game for December because December is crazy and I wish there was something I could throw in that the kids would like, yes, interact. There are some snow day sort of resources out there if you're interested. And I plan to make more of those. And even if you're like, well, I can still do Christmas, but I'll use the snow day stuff for January. Cool. But just so you know, it's there. Okay, since this is the last Musical Mondays of the semester, I went back to look at my first couple of Musical Mondays of the semester, way back in September or August, whenever they started, because this is week 15. And I remember going over like a list of like rules for myself, or like things I wanted to think about, and so I just wanted to go back and talk about those. So to see if I actually followed them. Let's be fun. The first one was to remember, blessed are the flexible, for they shall not break. It was a thing I learned at a camp I worked at a couple years ago, based on the Beatitudes, right? Okay, so have I been flexible? I hope so. I've definitely given myself more flexibility. Like I had to spend time during my plan period today going over like the goals that I set for myself for this year, because I was meeting with my principal to talk about them. And so I really do feel like I did give myself some flexibility, because part of the plans were like, how am I going to implement technology and in different ways, or how am I going to assess students in new ways? And as I was sitting talking with my principal about, did I meet the goals or not? She's like, no, I think you did. And I think that you are working to change things. And, you know, you said that this is how you normally did, but now you changed and whatever. And I was like, oh yeah, I did change that. Like I gave myself the chance to do that. So I think it's good to be flexible and to be able to make lots of changes. If any year is a year for changes, this is the year. So, feel free to make yourself changes. So did I meet that goal? Gosh, I hope so. But anyway, we'll see. We'll see. I need to remember that into the new year. Blessed are the flexible, for they shall not break. I just need to remember that as we keep rolling through this year, because it's a crazy year. So like, it's a good year for that. Another rule I said for myself was to say yes and, which is comes from the world of improv. But when confronted with a problem, or confronted with a situation, or confronted with a new idea, to say, yes, I will do that, or yes, I can, and how can you contribute? So more than just, yeah, I'll do that, but like, yes, and here's what I'm going to do to do my own version. So like, for example, you know, our school theme for the year was, or is, Under the Sea. And so, okay, yeah, Under the Sea. And I have a rhythm bulletin board that is sea themed or ocean themed. Or, you know, we need to talk about careers and college readiness or whatever. That's another big push for my district. Yes. And I have some musical options. I'm going to show these videos from the Sydney Opera House, Who's in the Lift, to talk about different musical professions. Or I was able to schedule and have a cool Zoom interaction with a member of the Marine Band. And so, yes, I can focus on college careers. We can talk about it. And here's this fun experience. So I hope that I did that, but I keep pushing myself that like, yes, I want that to be a thing. And what else? What next? Right? So yes, and is another one of the rules I gave myself. Another one was give yourself grace. There's a lot going on, and be willing to give yourself grace. You give other people grace all the time. Give yourself grace for things that maybe you aren't, you know, doing the way you wanted to, or it doesn't work out exactly the perfect way or whatever. That's okay. I think I have been a lot better with that, less pushing, and I hope that you all have been too, to give yourself a little bit of grace in the way. And the last rule I said was to not go overboard. And I think for the most part, again, my school theme was Under the Sea. So if I did go overboard, it's probably fine, because it's just stuff that's with the theme. But just kidding. But no, I think that I did pretty good of not going overboard, not doing too much, not trying to stress myself out so much. And you know, going crazy. I hope that I didn't do that, and I hope that I'm still not doing that, not going too crazy. But there's a lot going on. And so give yourself grace and don't feel stressed. Don't try and do more than you can. The last thing that I haven't really mentioned in the Musical Mondays video, but one thing that's new to me, instead of saying, because I caught myself, people would be like, how's teaching? You know, especially my non-teacher friends, like, how's it going? Or my friends who teach secondary, who are not doing the same things we are, not having the same level of engagement from students, or not, you know, not seeing them day to day or in the building or whatever. A lot of people saying like, how's it going? And I kept saying like, well, it's not ideal. It's not what I'd like, or it's different, or we're adjusting, or, you know. And so I kept saying like, it's not ideal. I kept saying that to people and to myself. And my new rule for myself is, instead of saying it's not ideal, I'm going to be saying it's not what I'm used to, or it's not what we've done in the past, or something like that. But it's not what I'm used to means like, you know, I mean, there's the implied like, maybe not what I would have chosen, obviously, like who would have chosen this year. But it's maybe it's not the way that I would like to do this forever, but it's less pejorative, less negative, you know, like it's not what I'm used to, but I'm willing to make those changes, or I'm willing to be more flexible. I'm willing to do whatever. So that's my rule number 5. There's blessed are the flexible, say yes, and give yourself grace. Don't go overboard. And then it's not what I'm used to, but I'm still working on it. So anyway, that's sort of my new thing for myself. thought I'd share. And guess what? I sort of stuck with those rules for myself. Yay! I hope I continue going on. So today what I want to talk about is some of those December things, some of those winter things. Maybe you can do December holidays, maybe you can't. Maybe you can do holidays as long as you do like a mix. Maybe you don't do any of that. I don't know. So everybody's sort of in a different boat. So I wanted to share just a lot of different things. And the first thing I want to talk about is bulletin boards. I love bulletin boards. I think they're a great advocacy tool. Even when you're not around, they're up. So like I never want to like put up a board and then just leave it all year, because I mean, the more, even if we don't have parents coming into the building, or even if we don't have students walking by as much or whatever, I think it's good to put that up so that it shows like, here's what we're doing. Here's some ways you can make connections in the music room. I've had so many colleagues, like third grade teachers and teacher leaders and janitors, whoever, come by and say like, I didn't know that you did arranging in elementary, or I didn't know there was composition, or I didn't, like things that they didn't realize. And when I use bulletin boards as advocacy tools, I get more connection. Or my favorite was when I was the first couple of years, I kept putting up like musician profiles in the hallway, and I had a teacher like stop me after class and go like, I don't see Eddie Mercury up there. And I was like, wow, I did not realize you were a Queen fan. But Eddie Mercury is not born in whatever month, because I was doing it like by the month the musician was born. And she's like, oh, okay, I'll look up when he was born and I'll expect to see his profile up there. But it's just fun, the connections you can make and the advocacy moments you can have. So in the spirit of that, let me show you some of the things that I use for December and into January for some of these. So the first one is I've done a whole series of bulletin boards that are like words, and then using the rhythms that go with those words to sort of highlight the rhythm in words, or the sounds in words. Especially my homeroom teacher colleagues love these, because it means that kids start listening for syllables. They start looking for syllables and how words break down in everyday words. So they really sort of love this. So this one is called like Sounds of the Season. And there's a little explanation slide that says, all words have rhythm. If you take the time to think about it, everything around us can be musical and full of life. Here are some words and rhythms of the winter holidays. Can you think of any other great winter words to add? I always put up something like this as just a little bit of an explanation for parents or admin or whatever. And then, it also sort of gives the kids an understanding of a hook of what the idea is about. So, snowman with the little rhythm, ta, ta, okay. Listen. Food, right? Okay, well, so, I mean, you could say food is like, oh, that's not really, doesn't really fit the theme. Okay, yeah, but we're all planning on eating this week. So I'm pretty sure food is a holiday thing. Okay, elf, candy cane, gingerbread. Oh, great, but all Christmas, right? No. Chinese New Year. Oh, yeah, Santa's sleigh. Kwanzaa. Some that are just sort of not themed. They're just sort of, the season. Hot chocolate. Ice skating. Falling snow, decorations. Ooh, let's see, hold on, there's another one here. Reindeer, Christmas tree, friends and family, stockings. Ooh, lighting candles, right? Okay. This is my favorite one to throw. Coal. I like to put that in there just in case, some kids forget. You could be getting coal. Sled, dreidel. Sorry, I lied. That's my favorite. Nutcracker, right? And then, but it has a bunch of words. Las Posadas. So even if you're like, I can't do the Santa stuff or the holiday stuff, there are quite a few things in there that are just winter related. But I put all of them up, and I put, it's a focus on just all the holidays. So kids can, number one, learn the holidays, but also learn sounds and different words. And then, the little presents spell out season, right? And then I have little Christmas light bulbs that spell out sounds of so it's sounds of the season, and as like the header, and then all the words, right? So that's one bulletin board, and it's rhythm themed. So it's really easy, fits in with what we're doing in class. but also like themed around the holidays. So it fits and does a couple things. It's good for advocacy. It's fun. Kids like it. Last time I shared a photo of this on my Instagram. So if you're interested in like seeing some of these out there, you can see them on my Instagram. Like the last one I did, the Thanksgiving one I just posted about, and someone was like, how do you get those laminated posters to stick on a cinder block wall? Well, all of our walls are different. I'll just say it depends on how you laminate. If you do hot laminate or cold laminate, it depends on your school, the paint that your school bought, what kind of paint it is, what kind of gloss, all this other stuff. So there are, my mom was an art teacher for a long, long time. So like I'm into this nerdy breakdown of materials. But what I'll say is it all depends on lots of different factors. So try different stuff. At my school, masking tape works. Good masking tape, Scotch brand. The off-brand stuff doesn't work. Packing tape sometimes works. Hot glue works. The blue ticky-tack stuff works. It just depends on you and your school. It depends on if they shut off the heater at night, all sorts of things. But try whatever works, see what your janitors will allow, and then try it and see. But I do put out, even though I don't have a physical bulletin board, I take and I tape up things on the wall. Because again, there's this dead space and I want students to see something musical there and make a connection every time they walk by. Even if they're on the way to the bathroom, they're like, oh, quarter note. Fine. It's a good thing. Okay, another set I have, this one, it's called Celebrate Caroling. See, they're caroling. But so the thing about this one is it has several slides with fun facts. So like in some countries, if Christmas carols are played before December or after Christmas Day, it is considered to be extremely bad luck. Ooh, that's a fun little factoid that kids will like. And then it has just facts about caroling, how it started, some different ones about specific songs. Carols such as O Little Town of Bethlehem, Away in the Manger, and Jolly St. Nicholas were written in the United States. Noel, caroling. So each one has just information about different songs and gives a little bit of information about what caroling is. In England, the celebration of singing and caroling, to just talk about sort of what it is. So because I don't think that as many people carol anymore, and so it's fun to give a little bit of history and a little bit of information about that. And then it has these little kids on snowflakes with notes, right? And that just goes out. Like I said, I just put it out in the hallway on bulletin board space. I usually try and like 1 year I'll do the rhythm one, and the next year I'll do the caroling one. Maybe the next year I'll do something else, just so it's not like, oh, I remember seeing that last year, whatever. But it's nice to have some variety. Someone on Instagram asked, are you in classroom or on a cart virtual because of COVID? I am in my classroom at this point. But who knows? I'll be there forever. Okay, another one, if you're like a Pinteresty person and you want to try something else, here's one that I just made. I do not have on Teachers Pay Teachers. It's just sort of a random one I made many years ago. I think I did a blog post about it, and I called it Note Flakes. And I use this okay, here's how you know. Someone said, if you purchase one of the bulletin board sets, do you have a recommendation for type of lamination? Whatever you use at your school or whatever is easiest for you. I always print out on cardstock and then laminate because I use over and over and over and over and over. But if you don't feel like doing that, you whatever works for you. But like we laminate in my school. I can laminate my school since I'm using it at school. So we're fortunate to be able to laminate, but otherwise you can buy one of those little home laminators. They're okay. I don't have a ton of great experience with them, but you can. Sorry, I don't know if that answers your question. It's hard to answer that question, David, without knowing the specifics of your situation. So every school's different. Here's how you know that this bulletin board kit, Note Flakes, is not on TPT, because I use this horrible font. It was like when I first years of teaching. And by horrible, I don't mean... well, it's fun because it's got snow on it, right? Like quarter note, 16th note, right? But the reason you can tell the reason I can tell it's a horrible font that I don't have it on TPT is because this is tricky for kids to read, especially kids who are learning words, who are learning to read, or maybe who are low learners, this is not a great font because it's like atypical. Some of the letters are missing. Like it's like fun, but this was in my first year teaching that I made this. I didn't know any of that then, but now I do. So if I were gonna, that's why a lot of times if you look at my TPT stuff, I use a lot of the same fonts because I want kids to be able to read it, and I want kids to be able to easily see and understand it. So anyway, so that's why I know this is a really old set. But it says, then I have like little things that say like note flakes. Again, sort of a terrible font, but oh well. So then what I did is I found at the Dollar Tree these like foam snowflakes, and I took those and I just took just basic, let me see if I can pull one out without ripping it. Yeah. Just basic like things that I had cut out, quarter notes, this really terrible 16th note. Again, you can tell this is early on in my teaching career because this stuff is so bad. But I took these and I just stapled them on top of notes, and or vice versa. You could put the note on top, I guess, if you want it. But I think the note head should probably go here. But I called them note flakes, and the kids actually liked them, and it was pretty easy to make because the snowflakes themselves came from the Dollar Tree, so I wasn't really making that, which was cool. And then the cutout notes I sort of already had. So it was just like coming up with the little caption note flakes or whatever, and then labeling each one. Again, if I were going to do it now, I would change the font. I'd make it look a little bit nicer because I would want kids to be able to read it. The font that I chose was not a great one, but that's first year teacher. What did I know? So now I know something that I want kids to be able to read, and that would probably change. But the note flakes, and then you could put that up and leave that up through January. So that's a cool one if you're like, oh, I want to get something started now. Put that up now. Leave it up through January, or put it up in January, if you want to take down your Christmas one or whatever, and it'll give you more versatility. That's what's great in a bulletin board. Something you can put up, leave up, good versatility. That's a good bulletin board. Okay, and then another one that I'm going to use in January. I already have it printed out and ready to go because I used it last year, or maybe the year before. But it's this one that is profiles of musicians. And I showed this off last week because I was actually using it in class to teach. And so each one of these posters has the musician's name, the performer's name, composer's name, whoever it is, has their name, a little quick bio about them, and the day they were born. And so the idea is that they're like themed around musicians who are born that month. So this is all January birthdays. So, but you have a good variety of people who are born that month, like a really interesting variety in January, actually. So Philip Glass, Adam Lambert, Etta James, Phil Collins, Muzio Clementi, Janis Joplin. Hold on, where's the one I really wanted to show off? Hold on, Rubinstein, Norman Della Gioia. Okay, kids like this one. Elvis Presley, Lowell Mason, sort of the father of music education, modern music education, Poulenc, Earl Scruggs, Justin Timberlake, just the greatest musician. Duraflay, Dave Matthews, okay, and then Mozart. I always make sure that I put up like Timberlake, Mozart, Elvis Presley. I put up the big ones. Dolly Parton is this month. So there are just a lot of musicians, and I try and pull them out. And I put it up, and then there's a little calendar that shows what day they were born, but each poster also says what day they were born. And so you can rotate out. I have a whole set for every month of the year of just like 30 different big names from that month. And it's called like Rockin' All Year, Rockin' into New Year's for January. But it's nice to have this pre-cut and printed. So like you can print and cut this now so that they're ready to go when January rolls around. So you're not scrambling on that like 2-hour PD day you probably get in January, if you get that in January. It's nice to have this sort of done and worry about it now so you're not worrying about it later. Okay, so that's the end of my diatribe about bulletin boards. But yeah, so I see someone on Instagram is saying, I feel like I don't cover composers and artists enough. I also felt that. This year I'm doing like a musician of the week, for a couple different grades so that I'm hitting different people in different genres, contemporary, classical, all sort of in between. I don't want to just do composers that kids maybe care about. I want to hit like all different eras, genres. I want kids to feel connected. That's why I'm actually starting that Musician of the Month with more contemporary artists who maybe they've heard, maybe they haven't, and giving them a little bit of connection that way. But I love the musician bulletin boards because again, it draws kids in, it draws other teachers in. They look, they make connections, and it's fun. The Noteflix is fun. The other bulletin boards, it's nice to have those thought out now. So hey, what a great week to think about that. But that's why I wanted to share some of that now. So you had some ideas before we go into December. Okay, let's talk about books. So I have some sort of general books, and then I want to show just a couple different books and some of the lesson ideas I've had with those. There are a couple new ones and a couple not. So I've got some holiday ones, some December ones, some just winter ones, and then I'm going to hit the nutcracker. So, okay, let's just go with some sort of general books that might be fun for December. Okay, so this is my favorite Frosty the Snowman. And the same illustrator, David Wenzel. Oh, I lied. No, okay, so this is Richard Caudry. But this one, illustrated by David Wenzel, feels like the same. It's like the same size. Maybe it's the same publisher. I don't know. But it looks so similar. Anyway, this is my favorite Frosty because I think that the illustrations are really great. And I love going through. I did a whole blog post about Frosty the Snowman and like how you can incorporate critical thinking and how you can talk through some of that. So that's something if you're interested in. It's nice to have a book. And this is a big book. I mean, compared to like some of the books we get, this one is big. So like you maybe don't even have to like project it up on your projector for kids to see it. It's easy to use in a read aloud. So it's my favorite. And I have a whole list on Amazon of like all of my favorite books. And again, every time I say this, I feel like I'm repeating myself too much if you've watched these videos before, but you don't have to buy them from Amazon. Don't feel like you have to buy these books there. It's just an easy way for me to catalog all the books that I've come across, because on Amazon you could buy them if you want, or you can strip out the ISBN or the author or whatever and go search your local library or search a used bookstore or whatever. But it's easy to catalog on Amazon. So that's on my Amazon page if you're interested. Frosty the Snowman is on there, and there's like a whole, list of winter holiday books. Okay, I'll stop interrupting myself. Frosty the Snowman's a great one. This Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer I like because it's, again, the illustrations I think are nice. I like the retelling of the story in this one. But I will just say that when I read Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, I like to paraphrase it and like thank God that I've not read this to kids before, like, because I know when I read to like my nieces and nephews or whatever, they're like, you're skipping parts. So like I'm glad that like I haven't read this before so that they like have it memorized and like can stop me, because it is really long. And if you read the whole thing verbatim in verse, it gets to be very long and frustrating. So Rudolph, I paraphrase, I skip things. I stop and talk about Rudolph for a second, and then I'll jump back in like a page later or whatever. But I don't feel like I have to read it verbatim straight through, because if you do, it becomes like a 15-minute read aloud. It's really long. Okay, so if we're going with other songs, this one's okay. This Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, it's all right. It's not my favorite. This one's illustrated by Michael Emberley, and it's good. It's okay. It's got some slightly more cartoonish illustrations. It's just a little smaller, and again, it's sort of all in verse, but I like it. It's great. It's nice in comparison, but the other one just feels so much easier for a read aloud because it's bigger. It's sort of more brightly illustrated. It feels more like, I don't want to say like mystical Christmas. It's not. It just feels like sort of like more nostalgic and fun, and I don't know. And it's also like fits with the Frosty book. I don't know. So for some reason in my head, the other one feels better. Okay, Walking in a Winter Wonderland. This is a beautiful illustration by Tim Hopgood. If you've seen any of his other books, they're just gorgeous illustrations. I love this one because in amongst the illustrations, he has like snuck in quarter notes and eighth notes and half notes and stuff. And kids start to notice that. So super, super cool book if you're going to sing the song, play the song, put it on. It's fun to have an illustrated version of that, so that's a really great one. I think my favorite 12 Days of Christmas book is this one. This is Emma Randall. Yeah, by Emma Randall. I love the 12 Days of Christmas song, and this one is just, it's sort of sweet and cute, and it's easy for kids to find all the things. It also is more multicultural than probably the 12 Days of Christmas books around are. It has people of all skin tones and all sort of body types in here, which is great. And also, well, it's just cute. Anyway, so I like this version. It's my favorite of the 12 Days of Christmas, but there are many different 12 Days of Christmas books. And I think I have like 3 or 4 listed on that Amazon page that I talked about. Okay. How long are your lessons, and how long does the book portion of your lesson usually take? I don't use books much, but I want to start. My lessons are 50 minutes currently, and it depends. Sometimes I'll use a book in the middle or the book in the end, it depends on if there's a lesson sprouting out from the book, or if the book is the illustration of the song that we've already learned, or if the book is related to. So the answer is, it depends. But I don't think that, like, I used to think like, oh, a book is like not musical, but I'm fitting it in, but like, a book like this can be just as much a part of a musical lesson as anything else. I think that I always thought like it has to have like a little ostinato that goes with it. They have to be able to like play an instrument along with the book for it to like really count. That's not true. You can just read a book. That's okay. Whether it's a song, a book based on a song, or whether it's a book that's related or a book that connects, like reading is good. And so I don't feel bad anymore about if the book is like taking up a bigger portion of the lesson than maybe I'm used to, or if the book is not a direct song, like it's how you integrate it and how you use it. So I don't know if that answered your question at all. I'm so sorry, but it's me ranting about using books. A couple other books that you might consider. I don't like have a lesson for, that's the other thing. Some people are like, what's the lesson you use for that book? I'm like, I don't always have one. Sometimes it's like, I don't have a lesson, but the book is related to what we're doing, or the book is connected to what we're doing. So this book, The Wild Christmas Reindeer by Jan Brett, like pretty much anything Jan Brett is fun and interesting to look at, and fun to make connections with. So this is one I've had some friends suggest to me, but again, it's sort of like, if you want to give a little bit more connection about the reindeer, or even if you just want to like have another reindeer book on your shelf, or this is one that I think I got for free as a cast off from another teacher. So it's a fun one if you want to have like a little reindeer lesson, or maybe you do have a reindeer rhythm thing that you want to do. Well, this would be a fun connection. Or you wanted to talk about the North Pole. That's a fun book to use. Okay, if we're talking more also holiday things, I just ordered a Kwanzaa book I'm really excited about, but I don't have it yet. And I have a couple Hanukkah books that I want to talk about. I love this one. I know an old lady who swallowed a dreidel, because I use the old lady who swallowed a bat or a bell or a rose or a pie. I have like 1,000 of these books. The dreidel is my newest favorite, because she swallows all these like traditional dreidel or Hanukkah things. So she swallows gelt, she swallows brisket, she swallows latkes, she swallows oil, just all sorts of stuff. And then each picture is based on a famous painting. So Starry Night for the menorah, and I think there's some Edward Hopper in here. All different. There's so many just cool. The Scream. And then at the end, it shows you what the different pictures are. So there's the Mona Lisa, American Gothic. Anyway, so hilarious. Nighthawks. Oh, I love that one. Where's that one? I gotta look at that one. Yeah, anyway, so it's just really, here we go. Yeah, so it's fun. It connects to all the other old lady books. It can teach kids a little bit about Hanukkah and some of the things that are typical around Hanukkah or typically seen in a Jewish family. So it's a super cute book. This is by Karen Yakowitz, and this is also on that Amazon list if you're interested. Okay, I'm going to come back to the things I have lessons for, and then I wanted to show just a few sort of snow, winter themed books that you might consider. The Mitten is another one by Jan Brett, and this is one where like in each page another animal climbs into the mitten. So like a lot of kids have read this or know this one, but this is one to be a really fun if you wanted to talk about layering in instruments or ostinati or whatever. I mean, there are a lot of things you could do, or you could layer in different rhythms, or you could layer in different parts of a poem, or you could just talk about adding or cumulative form. I mean, there's so many things that you could talk about if you wanted. It's just a cute book because the little boy loses his mitten and then all these animals crawl in to be warm, and then it's just a super sort of sweet book. But anyway, that's a great one, and it is not Christmas related. It's just winter themed. Okay. Robert Frost stopping by woods on a snowy evening. I don't know why I blanked there for a second. This is just a gorgeous illustration of that poem. So I'll just show you just a couple pages. Whose woods these are, I think I know. His house is in the village, though. He will not see me stopping here to watch his woods fill up with snow. So they're just like gorgeous illustrations. My little horse must think it queer to stop without a farmhouse near. Between the woods and frozen lake, the darkest evening of the year. So if you're doing anything about poetry, if you want to do anything about winter or snow or whatever, this is just a great book to throw in. And this is, I mean, it has the very famous line, "The woods are lovely, dark and deep, and I have promises to keep, and miles to go before I sleep." And miles to go before I sleep. So you could totally tie this in with a snow lesson. You could tie it in with poetry. You could add in snow sounding instruments. You could add have kids come up with rhythms or patterns they thought might work. All would be fun. And that's a little less like jolly, and like upbeat, and it's more like subdued if you wanted to talk about or move the lesson in that direction. It's a great book for something different, probably for older grades. And this one is illustrated by Susan Jeffers, who has illustrated so many other things, including my favorite Nutcracker book. So great book. And this is another one. This is in a series, this next book, that is great for movement around this time of year. This one's called The Snowman Shuffle, but there are 3 other books: The Reindeer Dance, The Santa Shimmy, and The Elf Boogie. And these are great for like movement during December or this one, I guess, January. Shuffle like a snowman, shuffle side to side. Shuffle forward, shuffle backward in a graceful slide. Rub your hands together, keep them nice and warm. Spin like a snowflake in a winter storm. Swoosh like the wind on a cold winter day. Move like a tree branch, sway, sway, sway. So it's just this little boy and this snowman moving around, and it's a great thing to inspire movement, to use with a movement lesson, or to, even if you're just like, ooh, they're getting antsy, it'd be a great book to have. Since this is a board book, and by that, if you don't know what a board book is, it's usually small. It's usually made to like be indestructible. And the books themselves are like thick cardboard. If you've never had a board book. Since it's a board book and it's very small, I would suggest either taking a picture, using a document camera, something so you can project it up and make it bigger, because you can't really say to kids like, well, scoot close, y'all, because we're going to read this small book. No, you can't really do that right now. So a document camera would be really helpful, or if you could buy I'm not sure it comes as a Kindle version, or if you could find a digital copy, that'd be cool, that you could project up, or make a digital copy to project up and put on the screen so that people can see it bigger. Because kids, it'd just be hard. I mean, like, look how small it is. It'd be hard for them to see this if it's not any bigger this year. So something to consider as you're doing that. Okay, so let's talk about 3 books that have like some lessons and things attached to them. Oh yeah, I have plenty of time. because I got to talk about the Nutcracker before we finish. So I just talked about Know an Old Lady Who Swallowed a Dreidel. There are some other books that you can get that like just explain sort of the specifics of Hanukkah or talk about Hanukkah if your kids don't know Hanukkah. With a lot of the things we do, like I have a favorite folk song resource about Dreidel, 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 had a little dreidel, that song, which I can give a little bit of history. And in that favorite folk song set, it talks about what Hanukkah is and some symbols of Hanukkah and some things about Hanukkah. So if I'm using that favorite folk song set, it helps give a little bit more information. But you can find some books that are more like informational. I just like books that have narrative and are a little bit more story driven than fact driven. But Old Lady Who Swallowed a Dreidel is great because it is more story driven and song driven, even though it keeps giving information about Hanukkah, what Hanukkah is, and Jewish traditions. This one I love. It's called The Hanukkah Hop. This is by Erica Silverman, illustrated by Steve D'Amico. And I shared about this one last year, but it's just a really awesome book. I know it's on that Amazon page, but I got it from Better World Books, I think, a discount book website, because you can see it's a library discard. It has the barcode there, but it's just a super, super cool book. You don't have to buy it new, but buy it now and you'll be able to get it later. I'll just read a couple pages. Rachel's twirling streamers, Daddy blows up blue balloons. Mommy sizzles latkes as she hums a Hanukkah tune. Kitzel chases dreidels, Doodle sneaks a donut treat. Parrots bobbing to a jazzy bim-bom beat. Mommy shines menorahs, Daddy clears a space to dance. Rachel swirls with candles as she sings a bim-bom chant. And then it has a little chant, but there's like no notation, so I made something up. Because I couldn't find anything online. So if you have like a great melody or something that goes with it, please let me know. But the one I do is... Biddy biddy bim bom bop, I'll whirl all night at our Hanukkah hop. So you can, do what you feel led to do. But if you know that there's like a traditional song that I'm missing that I didn't, hey David, did you know that's a traditional song? No, I did not. So if you know that there's like a song that goes with this, please let me know. Bubbas and Zetas zoom in by plane. Nieces and nephews ride buses and trains. Great aunts, second cousins, old friends from far are arriving by motorbike, camper, and car. Rachel opens the front door, swings it wide, and two steps all of the guests inside. Biddy biddy bim bom bop, come dance at our first ever Hanukkah hop. And then it just goes through, they light the menorah, they sing their songs, they play with dreidels, they retell the story of Hanukkah, they have their latkes, some eat with sour cream, some eat with applesauce, they grab a jelly donut, obviously they play dreidel, and then comes the klezmer band, which I think is super fun. So you could pair this if you wanted with more information, more stories about Hanukkah. You could pair it with videos of it, like a klezmer band, to give kids more information. I'm sure there are some like fun, like how do you play? Because one of the things I love about like some of these book publishers or Jewish schools or whatever around the country have created some cool videos online about like what it means to be Jewish or how do you play dreidel, or there are some really cool videos out there. So I think you could totally pair that in with like a video about a klezmer band or a video about how to play dreidel or a video about what is a dreidel song or something. There are lots of cool things, but this one, there's a lot of fun dancing in this one, spinning, pouncing, tapping, clapping, swaying, snapping. This is just a fun one for kids, to dance and to see how, like, having a party at home, what that looks like. But super cute little book. People stay over. They do their little dance. Fun book. Love it. The Hanukkah Hop is a really great one. If you know of any other great Hanukkah books, please let me know. I'm trying to beef up my collection. So I Know an Old Lady Who Swallowed a Dreidel and Hanukkah Hop are two of my favorites. And there's some others that I have, like I mentioned, that are more like informational, but these are my two faves currently. Another one that highlights another tradition based in December that celebrates Las Posadas is this book called Twas Noche Buena. And it's a Christmas story in English and Spanish by Roseanne Greenfield Thong, illustrated by Sarah Palacios. And this is a fun book because I used to teach in a school that had a big Mexican-American immigrant population, and they did celebrate Las Posadas, and a lot of folks don't know as much about it, or maybe know a little bit, and so this is just a fun book that gives a little bit more information, and also, again, it's narrative-driven, it teaches you, and it shows you as you go. So let me read just a couple pages. "'Twas Noche Buena, and all through our casa, every creature was kneading tamale masa. For one of our holiday tradiciones is making tamales, not one, but montones. And every last person, both chicas and chicos, is needed to make our tamales taste ricos. We stuff them with pollo, with queso and meat, and steam them in corn husks and leaves. What a treat." So I'm reading this fast for you, but for kids, I would slow way down, especially because there are Spanish words peppered in there, and they maybe wouldn't catch it very fast. And so I want them, one, to realize there are non-English words, and two, to try and be able to understand them in context. So instead, I'd probably read the page more like this. "Our lovely adornos are hung up with cheer in hopes that amigos soon will be here. Small figures of wise men, los reyes, and sheep, a tiny clay cama where baby can sleep. In the corner an arbol that's covered with bells, twinkling luces, red ribbons, and shells." And so if I were reading this with kids, I would stop and say like, "Ooh, in the corner an arbol. What's an arbol?" And they'd be like, "Oh, it's a tree." Oh, and then on the arbol it says twinkling luces. What's the twinkling, what's a luce? They'd be like, "Oh, it's light." Yeah. So trying to stop, go back, and give things in context would be great for kids, especially kids who are just English speakers who don't know any Spanish. And if you are feeling like, "Ooh, cool, but I don't know any of those words because I don't speak Spanish," there's a glossary of the Spanish terms in the back, so that you can give a little bit more context. Even if you're like, "I don't really know all these," you can get more context yourself. But it goes through and it follows that, like the "'Twas the Night Before Christmas" sort of lilt and feel. And it talks about some of the things that they eat, what they do for Las Posadas. It talks about using piñatas, and there's a piñata song. And they sort of sing just a tiny bit of it. By that I mean there's a traditional like Dale Dale song, and so they use sort of some of that. They talk about going to midnight mass. They talk about fireworks afterwards. They go back. They have pozole. They have their special meal together, and then they have buñuelos, which are like sort of a donut, sort of a treat. And all of this is just based around like the family coming together. Beautiful illustrations showing what it would look like if you were to be there in the house with them. And then the last part is maybe my favorite. "Now our friends are all tired from fun and fiesta. It is time to go home for a long night's siesta. Merry Christmas," they cheer as they head out of sight. "Feliz Navidad, and to all a good night." So beautifully illustrated, super fun. And if you don't know much about Las Posadas, or if you have a group of students who celebrate Las Posadas, or maybe don't, either way, it's great to introduce this because either it will affirm things that they are learning at home or doing at home, or it will help teach them about what might just be happening down the street, or maybe in the next county over, or maybe not close, but it helps to teach and give a little bit more context. This is called "'Twas Noche Buena," and that's by Roseanne Greenfield Thong, and that's also on the Amazon list if you want to find it and borrow the ISBN. And here's another book that I found last year I wasn't able to use, and I'm excited about using this year. It's not Christmas themed. It could be used anytime in the winter or into the spring even, as the snow starts to melt. It's a fun little book. But this is called The Tomten. I think that it's Tomten. I looked online and watched, and most people say Tomten. Some people say Tomtin, which I don't think is right, but I could be wrong since my ancestry is Swedish, but I am not from Sweden. So if you know someone who is or speaks Swedish, please let me know. But this is by Astrid Lindgren, and when I looked it up online and I looked up the Tomten and the history, I found several things in Swedish, and they said Tomten. So I'm not Tomtin. So I'm going to assume it's Tomten. Anyway, let me read just a page or two. It is the dead of night. The old farm lies fast asleep, and everyone inside the house is sleeping too. The farm is deep in the middle of the forest. Once upon a time, someone came here, cut down trees, built a homestead, and farmed the land. No one knows who. The stars are shining in the sky tonight. The snow lies white all around. The frost is cruel. On such a night, people creep into their small houses, wrap themselves up, and bank the fire on the hearth. There is a lonely old farm where everyone is sleeping, all but one. The Tomten is awake. He lives in a corner of the hayloft and comes out at night when human beings are asleep. He's an old Tomten who has seen the snow of many hundreds of winters. No one knows where he came or when he came to the farm. No one has ever even seen him, but they know he is there. Sometimes when they wake up, they see the prints of his feet in the snow, but no one has seen the Tomten. On small, silent feet, the Tomten moves about in the moonlight. He peeps in cowshed and stable, storehouse and tool shed. He goes between the buildings, making tracks in the snow. The Tomten goes first to the cowshed. The cows are dreaming that summer is here, and they are grazing in the fields. The Tomten talks to them in Tomten language, a silent little language the cows can understand. Winters come and winters go, summers come and summers go. Soon you can graze in the field. The moon is shining in the stable. There stands Dobbin thinking, perhaps he remembers a clover field where he trotted around last summer. The Tomten talks to him in Tomten language, a silent little language the horse can understand. Winters come and winters go, summers come and summers go. Soon you will be in your clover field. So for each of these, I'm doing that. The winters come and winters go, summers come and summers go. And then the rest, I'm sort of just singing however I feel like. Again, if I'm doing this with like a nephew or a child or whatever who's read it before, they'll be like, you're not doing it the same as last time, right? But I'm not doing that, so I can do whatever I want. So anyway, so he goes to the sheep, and here his little phrase changes. This one goes, all my sheep, all my lambs, the night is cold, but your wool is warm, and you have aspen leaves to eat. That's all it says. I would probably start with winters come and winters go, summers come and summers go. All my sheep, all my lambs, the night is cold, but your wool is warm, and you have aspen leaves to eat. So like I would maybe just add on, I would add on that summers come and summers go, winters come and winters go. Okay, so I also, before I started using this book, my brother-in-law works at the Norwegian American History Museum, and I have friends who are Swedish and friends, and so I asked around, like, the Tomten, is that a scary creature? Because this picture is sort of creepy, seeing his eyes. But they're like, no, the Tomten is supposed to be like a mythical, like, sort of, not like a leprechaun, like guarding the farm, right? So he goes to the chicken house. He doesn't like eat a chicken whole or anything. Like, it's not like a creepy sort of history like that. He goes and spends time with the dog. He like puts hay in the dog's little dog house to keep it warm. Anyway, then he goes into the house where people are sleeping through the night, and they sleep without knowing that Tomten is here. And he sings, winters come and winters go. I have seen people large and small, but never have they seen me. So, but again, I probably do the winters come, winters go, summers come and summers go. But then my favorite part, and this is why I would use it with kids. He tiptoes across to the children's cot and stands looking for a long time. If they would only wake up, then I could talk to them in Tomten language, a silent little language children can understand. But children sleep at night. And away goes the Tomten on his little feet. In the morning, the children see his tracks, a line of tiny footprints in the snow. So I would maybe sing the Tomten's line, and then there's the other reason I would use this is like there's so many cute little clip arts of little like winter gnomes and things, I think I could find and make some fun activities that are like rhythm reading or composition or arranging, or you could like, oh, the Tomten, you got to put it in the right order or whatever. Like there'd be so many fun little things you could do. But this is just a fun book to give a little bit of history. And this is a traditional Scandinavian thing where the Tomten visits, at nighttime. It's a tradition from Norwegian culture. So it'd be a fun book to add, especially if you lived in like Iowa or Minnesota or somewhere where there are a lot of Scandinavian families. But it'd be fun for all the time. And the nice thing is that it's not just Christmas, December. It's something you could use into January if you wanted. Let me quickly talk about Nutcracker books. Okay, well, I have a fair number of Nutcrackers at school. And it's one of those things that like, I started collecting them in second grade and then just like got like another one like 3 years later. And like I was up to like 4 by the time I was like in high school. And then people just started giving me more. And then like I was like, ooh, I like these. And so I would buy a couple more. And now I'm at the point where like people know that I like the Nutcracker. And so like I have a lot. I have a lot. Jennifer asked, would you add in non-COVID times, add this to like Nissa polka? The Nissa is like the I think the Norwegian version of the Tomten. I don't know. I've never done that polka. So sorry, I don't have the answer to that. But hey, it works with the theme. So I guess, Jennifer, good question. I don't know, but I don't know that polka. So sorry. I wish I could answer that. I don't know. Anyway, so I've been collecting Nutcrackers for a long time. This is the one that is most like the one that my kids see in like the DVD. So it's like, this is the Nutcracker. And actually it's actually perfect because his jaw fell out. Also, his arm fell off. I need to find that. It's in the box. After I grabbed it at the end of school today, it's there somewhere. Anyway, but this is like the Nutcracker I use. And, over the years, Target has had like the different characters of the story. So like every time I first see this, I want to say Grindelwald. It's not Drosselmeyer. So I've got the Drosselmeyer, I've got the Clara, I've got whatever. A couple years ago, the art teacher at my school was like, I know you collect Nutcrackers. Like, I've got your name for Christmas. Are there any you don't have? And I was like, the Rat King. And she was like, what? She did not know the story. And like she had seen like all the, like firemen and like baseball player and like ballerina or whatever. And so I was like, the Rat King. And she was like, why do you want a rat Nutcracker? She didn't know. But anyway, she found one. And so now I've got all the characters. So the fun thing is that like as I teach the Nutcracker, and I do it in different ways. With younger kids, I just tell the story. And maybe we watch the original Fantasia Nutcracker suite animated. We talk about the music, how it's used, blah, 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 tell the story. And I use the Nutcrackers that are actually themed around the different characters from the Nutcracker. I use the Nutcrackers themselves to sort of help explain the story. And now I have the Rat King. And he's standing on a wedge of cheese. Anyway, so love it. Okay, so I have the Rat King. But so for younger kids, I might use the actual Nutcrackers themselves to talk through the story and to tell the story. There is the great suite from Fantasia, the original Fantasia, that has all the Nutcracker like suite music and then illustrated version of that. I also use a bunch of books. Here are some of the books that I use. There is this super fun cutout version. Cutout of this is from Usborne, I think. Yeah, it's a peek inside book that has really, really beautiful illustrations. It is sort of small. It's not really a board book, but it feels like it. And it's a pop-up. If it will pop. There we go, sorry. Ooh, fun! But this is one I would need to do on a document camera so that I can make it bigger for kids to actually see. Because otherwise they're going to be dying to like see all these fun little details that they won't be able to see if I just like, okay, everyone, look, see? And hold up, they won't be able to see it. So I would definitely need a document camera or something to go with that one. The Nutcracker, like my standard favorite book is the illustrated one by Susan Jeffers. I love this for a couple reasons. The illustrations are gorgeous. The book itself is a good retelling. It does say Marie instead of Clara, which I found out is like, it's like a German versus the Russian. Like one of the traditions says Clara for the little girl and one says Marie for the little girl. I prefer Clara, but whoever wrote this one preferred Marie. So I just change it. I just say Clara instead. But you know what? It's not a big deal. But the illustrations are gorgeous, and I love it because it gives so much fun context for like what's happening in the house or what's happening with the story. When they get a little further in the story, like when they get to the dancing snowflakes, which is so far along in the book. Okay, when they get to the dancing snowflakes, I think this is really especially good because the snowflakes look like ballerinas. And if you're gonna share at all of the ballet version or show any of that, it's cool to have like preloaded this, like maybe they're not actually snowflakes, maybe they're ballerina snowflakes or whatever. So it's fun to have that, and it's just a beautiful version. Some other things that are related, Nutcracker related. The Nutcracker in Harlem retells the story, and the little girl, I think they call her Clara. Marie again. Okay, so anyway, they retell the story as if it were set in Harlem. And so Marie and her family, they're having a party, and then she falls asleep, and then the Nutcracker comes to life, etc., etc. So it just retells the story in a different setting. So super cool version. This one has a slightly different ending, I believe, but a really, really cool. I think she becomes a musician in this one. She likes singing and she plays the drumsticks. Yeah. So her family's musical in this one too, which is another really cool connection. Nutcracker in Harlem, like that book, great book to have. There's another one. If you don't know that Duke Ellington did his own version of the Nutcracker Suite, like a swing version, it's a really cool, well, it's not a swing, but it's a cool version. And so this tells like the story behind that. So like him doing his own thing, who Duke Ellington was. I think the illustrations are just super, super cool on this. But like everybody loves the Nutcracker. Yeah, but we got to do it. Are we going to do our own version, dance music version? And it's like, it tells the story of like how it came to be. So super cool, especially if you wanted to like have a musician profile of Duke Ellington, or if you wanted to play that version, you wanted to, do something else. It has just really, really cool illustrations and retelling of that version too. If you're like, I want to play a video or show some of the Nutcracker, I've done like a whole video on like how I show the Nutcracker. I think that's on YouTube and on my Facebook page already. But when I do it, I always like sort of talk over the video to like give more context and explanation, because I think it's asking way too much, even of our most advanced and like focused kids. It's asking too much of them to like sit and just watch ballet with absolutely no narration for as long as you might. So I skip things, I zoom through, I stop, I talk over, I like to give more context. But my favorite version to show kids is this one from the BBC, the Royal Ballet. And this one is, the Royal Opera House, Covent Garden. And I don't know if there's a publishing date on this one, but I know it's on my Amazon list too. Why is it my favorite? I don't know. I think I've watched like all the versions, and it's the one that I think like has the most vibrant costumes, sort of most kid friendly. Some of them like are okay. I know there's the one with Macaulay Culkin from New York. I've never really gotten into that one, but cool. There's a really cool French one. But like this one's just it's my favorite. I think it's the easiest to use. And I do have a DVD version because too many times I've like found it on the internet and then it's not there, or like I found it on the internet, it's on my computer, but my computer cut out or whatever. So I do have a DVD version, and I do show it up on the big screen, but I like being able to have the DVD. It makes me sound really old, but I like having a DVD so I can like physically have it in case the internet goes out or whatever, so that I've got my backup ready. But this one cost me like $18 a couple years ago, and I've used it at least $18 worth since then. So, but this is my favorite one. And also I think this guy's the best Drosselmeyer. Like I've seen a lot of Drosselmeyers in my day trying to be Drosselmeyer, and he's like magical but not creepy, if that makes sense. Anyway, I have opinions about the Nutcracker. So, yes, in conclusion, I hope that this gave you some ideas, and I'm going to be posting more posts and videos and things in the coming weeks, but this is the last Musical Mondays video for the semester. I'll try and pick back up in January, but it's been a great 15 weeks. I hope that you've gotten some ideas and lessons and thoughts along the way. You can always go back and watch all the old previous ones or from previous years. This is my 3rd year doing this, so there are now a lot, 75 videos out there now. So if you're interested, you can go back to like, what did I do last year in December, and give you some more ideas. So I'll be back in January, but as always, if you have questions, you can leave them in the chat. You can send me an email, makemomentsmatter@gmail.com, or reach out to me through my social media. So thanks so much for coming along tonight, everyone. And I hope that I'll see you again in January. Have a great break, everyone. Bye.